Information now about the man charged with murdering 3 relatives at an Arlington apartment community, then taking his 8-year-old son, touching off an Amber Alert. Today, we received the arrest report on 37-year-old Terrell Lewis. It reveals how police found him hours later and took him into custody.
I think we all need to be so thankful that 8-year-old boy wasn't harmed. We need to be thankful for that, man. I know it's something small. There's not a lot of good in these situations. But at least that 8-year-old boy gets to live, man. So often, I mean, if you follow this channel, we see these guys, they whack the 8-year-old and then they go do time in prison. They don't kill themselves. They just do time in prison. Play cards. Now they got cell phones in prison. Like, they got, like, TikTok accounts and Twitter accounts. And they got laptops and TVs in their cell. And, you know, you got shapeshifters in prison, so it's like you can basically like almost live, you know, like, you know, I mean, think about it. Look what he was doing on the streets. Being in prison is not that bad. He wasn't functioning right on the street, so, and he's probably been in prison half of his life, so the fact that he let that 8-year-old boy live, I'm not giving him any credit for it. I'm just thanking God that 8-year-old boy is alive. Because a guy like this normally kills that 8-year-old.
It reveals how police found him hours later and took him into custody. Tarek just went through the report and joins us now. Tarek.
Well, this is the video sent to News4Jax. It shows the moments Terrell Lewis was taken into custody. His 8-year-old son was found safe. Now, Lewis is accused of murdering his girlfriend, who's the mother of the child, and her brother and sister. They
murdered his girlfriend, who's the mother of his child, and her brother and her sister. Just wiped out an entire lineage. See what I'm saying? Just wiped out this girl's entire lineage. And listen, man, it's so much here. You know, she dating the thugs, put her family in jeopardy, She should have divested. Struggle love, all this crap, all these tropes, trauma bonding, all these tropes that you're going to hear. This is just sad, man. This makes my heart ache. That fool wiped out. Think about their parents. These three's parents who got to get that call that not 1, not 2, but 3 of your kids were killed by your youngest daughter's baby daddy. Who probably been in and out of prison, not working, having a tough time, you know, disrespectful, DV situations. Just, they probably had their hands full with this guy. And they probably like, this is my thing. When I see a sister come around, like for instance, me, I live in a mostly glider town. But you see some people popping up more and more lately. I get more uneasy when I see a sister pop up, because you know she's going to bring a psychopath sunman, a jailbird, a ex-con, a gang member with her. And the only thing you can do is pray. I promise you this. The only thing you can do is pray that he only kills her. And this is coming from somebody who, listen, man, I know I'm from Blackistan. When you see a sister move into your neighborhood and she got her housing voucher, or maybe she just got a mortgage, got a housing loan, or some first home owners, home buyers program, or something that, these sisters can get because, they may have a job, or may go fill out the paperwork, may go through the steps, take advantage of the programs that's out there. There's tons of programs, but sisters take advantage of them. Some men just complain and talk about ain't nobody doing nothing for them. So the sister is usually the one who gets the house, gets the apartment. She's the one who, it's in her name. The lease is in her name. The mortgage is in her name. The Section 8 is in her name. And the first thing she does, if she is not already attached to a psychopath, a killer, an ex-con, a wayward guy who may not have killed yet, or, abuser, if she's not attached, she will go find one and bring him into that neighborhood. That's what they do. That's how a lot of these neighborhoods get ruined. Believe it or not. Some sister with a good job, or, maybe even just a dental hygienist, or paralegal, or, a mail carrier, or she may just have a regular job, a hairdresser. But she's, she got some programs, she got a kid, so she's eligible for some programs. She gets, and the first thing she does is bring some club hopping, spending all their money on tennis shoes, gang, money phone, posting on IG, want to be a rapper, half a rapper in the studio once a month, got a whack mixtape, son, man, who's going to end up contributing to the destruction of that neighborhood now, or the crime rate in that neighborhood. The amount of police calls, you're hearing sirens now. You never heard sirens, now you're hearing sirens. But this makes my heart ache, that her brother and her sister, like, he killed the whole family.
Information now about the man charged with murdering 3 relatives at an Arlington apartment community, then taking his 8-year-old son, touching off an Amber Alert. Today, we received the arrest report on 37-year-old Terrell Lewis. It reveals how police found him hours later and took him into custody. Tarek just went through the report and joins us now. Tarek.
Well, this is the video sent to News4Jax. It shows the moments Terrell Lewis was taken into custody. His 8-year-old son was found safe. Now, Lewis is accused of murdering his girlfriend, who's the mother of the child, and her brother and sister. The arrest report says a woman was found dead near the front door. The other 2 elsewhere in the apartment. This was at the River City Landing Apartments Friday morning. Now, the report says a cell phone trace was conducted on the suspect's phone. A short time later, the suspect's cell phone pinged near Little Pottsburg Creek. SWAT detectives found him near a bridge. The report also says police were called to the home in reference to a welfare check after a 911 caller reported hearing loud bangs and screaming. Then Lewis appeared in court over the weekend, charged with 3 counts of murder. He's now being held without bond, and court records show he was named in a domestic violence injunction in 2016 by his son's mother. Again, the child was found safe. According to the new version of the arrest report, just into our newsroom, the 8-year-old told the child protective team that he was in the shower when he heard the gunshots. The 8-year-old then says he saw one of the victims dead on the floor. When that protective team asked if Lewis shot his mother and her siblings, the 8-year-old nodded yes. Terrell Lewis will be back in court later on this month.
We're learning more about a woman shot to death at a Raceway gas station on Lem Turner Boulevard, that is, over the weekend. Family has identified her as Tata Smith, a 28-year-old mother of 4.
She's going to be really missed. Everybody love her. She don't have an enemy to this world.
And some YouTubers and some pundits and some people will say the obvious. Where all the men at? What kind of men do you think will be associated with these chicks? Thank God there's no men around. Look at these 3 little girls. Thank God there's no men that they would be around.
She's going to be really missed. Everybody love her. She don't have an enemy to this world.
That family spoke exclusively with News4JAX reporter Ann Maxwell. Ann joins us live from Northwest Jacksonville. Such a tragedy, Ann.
It is, Mary. The family says they were in total disbelief when they heard this news. And here at the Raceway, you can still see 2 gas pumps totally covered in crime scene tape. No word yet from police on a possible suspect. Tata Smith's family remember her as an inspiration and a giving friend, but as a mother above all.
She loved her girls. She loved her girls dearly, and her girls loved her.
Smith's mother, Tanika Bird, says her daughter had a podcast where she would pray for or counsel the listeners who called in. She says Smith touched many people with her positive attitude.
No act of kindness goes unpunished. And when you're praying for other people, don't forget to pray for yourself. She already had the blonde hair. She should have just went ahead and divested. Jesus, man. She should have just divested, man. You can't be around the stand, man. A woman, listen, a woman standing at a gas station gets shot down in broad daylight. And no one in custody. That story probably would happen once a month in glider community. That's probably happens 20 times a week in the stand.
Smith's mother, Tanika Bird, says her daughter had a podcast where she would pray for or counsel the listeners who called in. She says Smith touched many people with her positive attitude.
Telling me, hold my head up, it's okay, stuff like that.
But Smith's life was cut short by gun violence this weekend. According to police, her body was found lying against a gas pump next to a car at this Raceway gas station. A witness told News4JAX they heard what sounded like 50 to 75 rapid-fire shots.
50 to 75 rapid-fire shots. Now, mind you, this happened the same day as the previous story that I just showed you. In the same city. So when you say, what you mean that happened? This is the same city. These both stories. This isn't everything. If I showed you everything that happened in this one city that day, this is a conspiracy, man. Man. The government putting these guns in our community, making these dudes do this stuff, man. This is not, listen, man. This is the stand.
A witness told News4Jax they heard what sounded like 50 to 75 rapid-fire shots. You can see dozens of evidence markers at the back of the parking lot.
For me, it was, this is not real. I'm being pranked, I'm being punked, so it's like, this not real because it's like, no, this not real. But in actuality, it really was real.
Smith leaves behind 4 daughters from 1 to 9 years old.
I love my mom.
She's one of 3 people killed in Jacksonville over the weekend.
My condolences are to the other families because I know firsthand what they're going through and how they're feeling.
JSO tells us this is an active investigation. They're asking anybody with information about what happened here at the Raceway over the weekend to give them a call. Live in Jacksonville and Maxwell, Channel 4, the local station.
A beloved high school basketball star was shot to death in Flagler County. Loved ones identifying him as 16-year-old Kamarion Hall.
And he was a sophomore at Flagler Palm Coast High School. We just received 911 calls made moments after he was shot.
I just heard a lot of shots. I think someone's been shot. I don't know any details. You guys need to hear as fast as possible.
I'll call this brother Karen for weaponizing 911 because the police could have technically came up there and got into a gun battle with the suspects and shot and killed a king, one of your disenfranchised victims of supremacy. He weaponizing 911, man. Call the 911 on some people, man.
News4Jax reporter Corley Peel joins us live outside the high school to show us how this loss is now touching the community. Corley.
Mary, this basketball gym behind me is where loved ones say Kamarion Hall would shine. They say he had big dreams of becoming a professional basketball player someday, and they say now those dreams are cut short because of a senseless act of violence. A three-point shooter, fearless on the court.
You can ask anyone in this town who they thought was one of the better basketball players, and he would come to mind.
That's how many describe 16-year-old Kamarion Hall, a guard for the Flagler Palm Coast High School varsity basketball team.
He was one of those kids that they have all the talent in the world.
Dwayne Jenkins says his cousin was a fierce competitor from a young age.
Kamarion, you ready for the day, Kamarion? Yeah. Who you think gonna win the race? You? So you the fastest?
Johnny Hampton with Flagler United has coached Hall on a travel basketball team since he was 9. On Tuesday, he did not realize that would be his last practice with him. When was the last time you saw him or spoke to him?
I saw him last night.
You saw him last night?
We had practice last night from 7 to 8 o'clock at the gym right down the block from where he got shot.
2 hours after practice, detectives say Hall died in a shooting near South Pine and East Bowie Street in Bunnell. Jenkins heard the gunshots.
I heard the gunshots. I went outside, and of course I didn't want to, just straight run to the scene because I didn't know what was going on. But after I heard the commotion and everything, and I heard, some names drop, and I was like, God, no, I hope it's not him.
Investigators say another man was shot but survived. Hall died at the hospital. Deputies say the shooter is still on the run. How do you want him to be remembered?
Basketball. That's what he loved. That's what he was good at. That's what he wanted to do. So, when you think about Kamarion, just think about basketball.
Jenkins says his cousin was destined to play basketball in college and even in the NBA. He says he hopes the person who ended his dream is held accountable.
Yeah, this kid was really good, man. He was the real deal. He was only 16. He was definitely going to play D1. The NBA, I don't know. That was only, you can never tell. I mean, I follow high school basketball for 30 years now. Some of the best high school basketball players, they went to the wrong school and, got lost in the sauce and didn't even make the league. But this kid was definitely going to play D1. And by the time he was 18 and graduating from high school, he was definitely going to be one of the, a top recruit, ESPN top 100 type player. And there will be no tweets from NBA players, college players, coaches, NBA analysts. No team will take a moment of silence. No team will put a patch on their jersey. There'll not be one single solitary effing word from anyone associated with the NBA or college basketball. Like there was for Floyd, like there was for Rayshard Brooks, like there was for Jacob Blake, like there was for Trayvon, like there was for everybody else who was, had an interaction with a glacier glider or a cop. And sometimes I used to say, man, that's really messed up, man, that they don't say anything about these kids when they get killed. I used to really preach that a lot on my videos, like how evil and sinister and wicked these NBA players were and how just trashy people they were for always like making a big deal and getting all these Twitter points and all these woke points for standing up for some career criminal that was killed during a justified arrest after committing a crime in which he, resisted arrest or grabbed a cop's gun or whatever he did, and he was killed or died. And being deathly silent. I mean, not a word from anybody in the sphere, the basketball realm, when these happen every day in the community, because this happens every day. This is Jacksonville. Tomorrow it'll be another city. The next day it'll be another city where a really, really good athlete will be killed by gun violence. I used to, criticize NBA, NFL players for not making a fuss about that. Now, 8,000 videos in, I have a different take on it. If they were to speak on this every time this happened, they would be doing that every day. If, let's just say, somebody paid for this kid's funeral, then you got to pay for 300, 400 funerals a year. Say some NBA player reached out to the family, and then it happens the next day, and the next day. These guys are traveling, they're playing ball, they're practicing, they got media obligations, they got endorsements, they got, their own entrepreneurial business things going on. This story would have to become some kind of viral thing to where they could get points off of it. Because they're not going to, say anything about something where they can't get, some Twitter points off of it or some, social media pats on the back for. So this story would have to become viral. How does this story become viral if it's going to happen tomorrow to another kid? If it happened the day before to another kid? If it happened the day before that to another kid? These stories can't become viral enough to make it across the NBA players' personal assistant's desk or trending on IG enough to where when the player's scrolling through IG, he sees it. How does that player remain woke and anti-police, and how does that player continue to push the narrative that police are killing and hunting some people every day? Did you hear that 911 call? Those NBA players are pushing a narrative that police are the biggest problem in these communities. How do they do that with a story like this?
I just heard a lot of shots. I think someone's been shot.
I think Cohen's been shot. I don't know any details. You guys need to hear as fast as possible.
How does an NBA player, woke NBA player, with his BLM insignia as his avatar, with all his woke posts and tweets about how cops is running around the countryside chasing down Sunmen with pitchforks and torches, and January 6th was the worst thing that's ever happened. When in this one case, more people were shot than were shot at January 6th. No, one person was shot at January 6th, and that was by a cop, a Sunman cop, shot a glider woman. 2 people were shot in this incident. How do they remain woke and keep their pasty liberal allies and stay cool with Kaepernick and Sean King and my son and Tamika Mallory? How do they stay cool with Bomani Jones and Jamel Hill by posting about a story like this every single day? When the stories that they love to talk about are so few and far between that we know every single person's name. Eric Garner, Alton, Philando Castile, Freddie Gray, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown. We know every one of their names. Dante Wright. We know there would be, if this, and I'm just talking about athletes. Just the athletes, the star athletes. I'm not talking about somebody that was just on the team. Just the star athlete, that's like 400 or 500 a year. It's a lot of names to remember.
Jenkins says his cousin was destined to play basketball in college and even in the NBA. He says he hopes the person who ended his dream is held accountable. School leaders say that counseling has been provided to students and staff here at the high school during this difficult time. And we did do some researching, and we found that in 2020, Hall survived a different shooting, but there isn't any information indicating that that was related to the shooting that happened last night at this time.
He survived a different shooting. So at this point, this kid may have been in the streets, or he could have just been in the stand adjacent. Maybe he needed to be like Jimmy Butler and go live with a glider family, or Michael Oher, the blind side. Maybe this kid needed to be blindsided. And go live with a glider family, man. Like Patrick Willis, the great linebacker, and so many players. You would be shocked by how many professional athletes, their parents sent them, either their parents sent them or the coach adopted them, or somehow they ended up living with a glider family during high school and got away. And that's not to mention the ones like LeBron and Kevin Durant that went to all glider schools for high school, because so many of them went to all glider schools. There's like 5%. Everybody, every son man at the school is either on the football or basketball team. This kid needed to be removed from this situation, man. He needed to be taken away from his own people. and that would have saved his life. He needed to be put around colonists and Karens and insurrectionists, and that would have been the safest place for him.
And we did do some researching, and we found that in 2020, Hall survived a different shooting, but there isn't any information indicating that that was related to the shooting that happened last night. At this time, the Flagler County Sheriff's Office is saying that that was an isolated incident. Again, they don't have any suspects' names and no arrests have been made. So if you have any information about that shooting or a motive, they're still working to find out a motive about that shooting, you are urged to call the Flagler County Sheriff's Office or Crime Stoppers. Reporting live from Flagler County, Corley Peel, Channel 4, the local station.